I was never encouraged to go to med school. Um, I think the kind of encouragement I got was, well, it's okay, but you might as well plan like being a nun. You're going to give up your life for medicine. You're probably never going to get married and have kids. You're going to just work, work, work. It's a lot of hard work, and I don't know if you really want to do that. That's the kind of advice I got. And I always felt that little hurdle. People would always say, "Are you sure you want to be a doctor?" And I kept acting like I was making a mistake. No, you don't mean doctor, you mean nurse, like I didn't hear it. And so there was always that feeling, if you're a woman, you're not going to work as hard, you're going to get pregnant, you're going to do this, you're going to drop out. And some women did. And so I always had that feeling, I've got to work hard, I've got to work harder, I've got to show my sincerity and my drive. And I remember when I got into Johns Hopkins, they presumably were very forward thinking because they allowed 20 women in the school at all times. 1 year 4, 1 year 6, 4 and 6. And I got in the year they had 4. And there were 4 girls and about, I think about 70, 75 boys. And that made for a nice social life. And they felt they were very liberal, and because they took 4 women 1 year and 6 women the next, they felt they were very avant-garde. I think, as far as being a girl in a male class, there were a lot of jokes that weren't geared towards women. I learned to keep my mouth shut about certain things. And I would fake laugh along with the boys about some of these funny jokes that were kind of against the female. And we all laughed anyway, even if we were the subject of the humor. It made me want to be a doctor, but it always gave me all these doubts. Like, okay, I'm going to be a doctor. Am I going to be a bad mother? Am I going to be a neglectful wife? Am I? I started out working for clinics first, and then I worked for Denver General, what was then Denver General, the Department of Health and Hospitals, in the neighborhood health program, because I was able to get regular hours, and I had 5 children at that point. But I worked with them for about 7 years, and that's when I got invited to come to Littleton Clinic down here. She said for 9 months they discussed whether they wanted a woman in their group, because they were all men and they never had one before. And so I learned that before I went down for my interview. And so I thought, well, I'm not going here. And one of the things they asked me in a subtle way was, did I miss work when one of my kiddies, they said, was sick, or maybe when I wasn't feeling well, which meant my period. And it was sort of not very subtle. I thought, what do they know about this, and I will show them. So I said to them, I've never missed work for my kids or my period, and that kind of blew them away. Kept my sense of humor, which I always had, and after I'd been there a while, I was one of their top producers, and at first they didn't think I would be. And they were kind of trying to be kind, but then they got very competitive. And partly, well, mostly, because you were paid, your paycheck was determined by the number of patients you saw. People that began asking, saying that their daughter would like a woman doctor and things like that. And it did bother a couple of my colleagues then when I was new at the Littleton Clinic. Because they'd seen them all their lives, and then I was suddenly going to go to a girl doctor. And so a couple of times I found one of my partners taking a patient out of my room, and he said, well, it's because I've known them all their lives. Well, being that's where I might have been more quiet than I should have been. And I thought, okay, I'm the only woman here. I'm the new guy on the block. I just kept my mouth shut, but it bothered me.